I never imagined that my life would become a story defined by secrets, whispered in hallways and truths that arrived too late to be gentle. If you had asked me years ago what I thought my future would look like, I would have described something simple and steady: a loving husband, a warm home, and the slow, patient work of building a family. I didn't know then that love could exist alongside betrayal, or that honesty could come from the most unexpected place. Asterisk, my name is Lavra Jennings, and this is the story of how my stepfamily almost broke me, and how, in a strange and painful way, it also saved me. Asterisk, when I met Mark, he was everything I thought I needed. Kind, attentive, and thoughtful in ways that felt rare. He had been divorced for several years and was raising his son, Ryan, on his own. Mark spoke about Ryan with pride and protectiveness, and I admired that. I had never been married before, never had children, but I believe love was something you learn by doing. I told myself I could step into this life and grow into it naturally. Asterisk, Ryan was 12 when I first met him. Quiet, polite, and guarded. He had the kind of eyes that looked like they were always watching, always measuring the room. I tried not to push. I knew becoming a stepmother wasn't about forcing affection. It was about earning trust. I cooked his favorite meals, showed up to his school events, listened when he talked about video games or teachers he didn't like. Sometimes he smiled. Sometimes he retreated. I accepted both. Asterisk, when Mark and I married, I truly believed we were building something solid. Our home felt full, busy, in a comforting way. There were routines, shared dinners, weekend errands. From the outside, we looked like a family that had figured things out. I held onto that image tightly, even when small cracks began to appear. Asterisk, Mark started working late more often. At first, I didn't question it. He had a demanding job, and I trusted him. Trust, I thought, was the foundation of everything. But over time, the late nights became predictable. His phone was always face down. He laughed at messages he didn't share. When I asked how his day was, his answers felt rehearsed, vague. Asterisk, I told myself not to be paranoid. I didn't want to become the kind of woman who saw threats where there were none. I reminded myself that blended families come with stress, that marriages go through phases. I focused on Ryan, who had grown quieter as the months passed. Asterisk, he stopped joining us for dinner. He spent more time in his room, headphones on, door closed. When I asked if something was wrong, he shrugged and said he was tired. Teenagers, I told myself. This is normal. Then one night, everything changed. I was folding laundry when Ryan appeared in the doorway. He looked pale, his hands clenched into fists. For a moment, he just stood there, like he wasn't sure whether to step forward or run away. I asked if he needed something. He shook his head, then nodded, then finally whispered, "I can't take it anymore." Asterisk, the words hit me harder than I expected. I set the laundry down and told him to sit. His eyes filled with tears he was clearly trying to hold back. He said he didn't want to betray his dad, that he felt sick all the time, that every day felt like lying even when he said nothing at all. Asterisk, I felt a cold fear settle in my chest. I told him he could tell me anything, that whatever it was, we would handle it together. He looked at me like he was deciding whether to trust me with something fragile and dangerous. Asterisk. Then he told me about Mark's affair. Asterisk, he said he had seen the messages by accident, that he had overheard phone calls, that he had watched his father leave the house with excuses that didn't add up. Ryan had been carrying this secret alone, torn between loyalty to his father and the guilt of watching me live a lie. He said he hated himself for not speaking sooner, hated the way it made him feel like a bad person. Asterisk, I don't remember everything I felt in that moment, only that it was too much to hold all at once. Shock, disbelief, anger, sadness, and an overwhelming ache for the boy sitting in front of me. who had been forced into an adult burden he never asked for. Asterisk, I hugged him as he cried. And I realized something important in that moment. No matter what happened next, I had to protect him. He didn't cause this. He didn't deserve to be crushed under the weight of someone else's choices. Asterisk, when Mark came home that night, I confronted him. I didn't scream. I didn't throw things. I asked him one simple question. Was it true? The look on his face told me everything before he spoke. He tried to explain, tried to minimize, tried to frame it as a mistake, a phase, something that didn't mean anything. But lies don't disappear just because someone calls them small. Asterisk, I told him Ryan knew. That was the moment Mark truly broke. The shame on his face wasn't just about the affair. It was about what it had done to his son. For the first time, I saw him not as my husband, but as a man who had failed the people who trusted him most. Asterisk, the days that followed were some of the hardest of my life. The house felt heavy with unspoken words. Mark slept on the couch. Ryan avoided both of us, retreating into silence again, this time out of fear rather than secrecy. I questioned everything, my marriage, my judgment, my future. Asterisk, I considered leaving. I won't pretend I didn't. There were moments when walking away felt like the only way to breathe again. But every time I imagined packing my bags, I saw Ryan's face. I remembered the relief in his eyes after he finally told the truth. And I knew that whatever decision I made had to account for the damage already done. Asterisk Mark agreed to counseling, both individual and family. It wasn't a quick fix. There were sessions filled with anger, tears, and long silences. I learned things I didn't want to know. About his insecurities, his fear of aging, his selfishness. He learned about the depth of my pain, about the trust he had shattered. Asterisk, but the most important healing happened between Ryan and me. Asterisk, he apologized over and over for telling me, as if honesty were something to be ashamed of. I told him again and again that he did the right thing, that courage doesn't always look strong. Sometimes it looks like a scared teenager choosing truth anyway. Slowly, he began to believe me. Asterisk, we started talking more. Real conversations, not just polite exchanges. He told me about his mother, about how the divorce had taught him not to expect permanence. I told him about my own fears, about how loving someone doesn't guarantee safety, and our shared vulnerability, a bond formed that neither of us had anticipated. Asterisk, I won't say everything was fixed. Healing isn't a straight line. Some days were better than others. Some days, the pain resurfaced without warning. But honesty changed the shape of our family. Secrets no longer ruled the house. Conversations replaced silence. Asterisk, in the end, my marriage did not return to what it once was. It became something different, something more cautious, more deliberate. Whether it will